Good morning. Welcome again to our reflection during this special week leading up to Easter. We've come to Good Friday, which is always so central to the Christian church around the world. In a sense, it has that solemn feel, for we reflect on the death of Jesus. As we've been doing, I want to read some verses from the Bible, just a few from the section that is presented for today. As the soldiers and Jesus were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. And there they crucified Jesus. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came over all the land. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. I saw in the media Andrew Lloyd Webber describing himself as a composer in isolation. He said because of his age he was self-isolating, but he wanted to be productive, and therefore he had asked people to send him requests. As you know, someone of his ability on the musical side would be quickly taken up. And requests came in, and he was going to then play for the people, play it across the media. The Phantom of the Opera seems to have been the most popular, he said, and this was around the end of March. And the particular song was All I Ask of You. He said he got some other people from the orchestra to come on screen with him, and they would play, and it was almost like a synchronized orchestra as they began to, shall we say, entertain people from their requests. Maybe you've seen the musical, The Phantom of the Opera. Another song within it is called Twisted Every Way. And those words came to me when I noticed this on the media. Twisted every way. It describes and is part of a relationship within the musical and how that develops. But the words for me could be written over today's experiences. As we see the virus spreading around the world, the number of casualties, the pressure on various health services, and ordinary people who have known some of the consequences, twisted in every way. Our minds are often confused, not knowing where to turn. When will this end? Twisted in every way. Our circumstances have been changed, and really, what will tomorrow bring? I think those words could be equally written over our passage from which I've just read. For Jesus' body was twisted in every way. We find that Jesus had been flogged and beaten, and then asked to carry his cross, carry his own means of execution. He stumbles on the way to the hill itself, and as we read, one of the soldiers forces a bystander, Simon, to assist Jesus. And then they move to where the act of execution is carried out. Once again, Jesus' body twisted in every way. As he is nailed to the cross, he has that difficulty in breathing. He knows bones broken. He has suffered in so many different aspects as his body had been beaten and twisted. And as we look at it, we try and come to understand what actually was happening. This is more than just a death. This was not an accident or a miscarriage of justice on its own. But there was something purposeful in this horrific scene. How do we explain it? Where does it fit in with God? How does it fit in with us today, who find ourselves twisted in every way? Could I paint to you a picture described in our reading? We read that there was darkness over the earth for many hours, about 3 hours, I think it said. And during that time, Jesus bore the pain of the cross. But can you imagine the scene with me? Darkness comes. Some have said, was it a sandstorm just blotting out the sun? Others have wondered, was it an eclipse? But those from geography and astronomy would suggest none of those answers really fit the bill. What was happening? Something mysterious. Something supernatural, special. I'm sure if you can imagine the noonday sun, the warmth all round about. There was heat in the morning and going right through to the afternoon, and suddenly there's darkness. It cools down. The birds, the animals which arise in the morning, suddenly find themselves in darkness, and there's that eerie silence, a silence only broken by other groans and cries from those also crucified at that same time. And in that darkness, Jesus cries, my God, why have you forsaken me? What's happening? How do we understand it? Elsewhere in the Bible it says, and Jesus, who knew no sin, was made sin for us. And in some mysterious way, in some special way, God comes through Jesus Christ, his Son, and Jesus bears not only our failings, our faults, which the Bible describes as sin, but in a sense our pains, our sufferings, all our brokenness. Indeed, it's as if the whole of humanity's pain and hurt and failing floods down from past and present and future on the body of Jesus Christ. No one else could really carry that cross. As a line in our opening hymn said, there was no other good enough to pay the price. And yet what I have said doesn't fully touch the depths to which Jesus went, or fully help us to grasp what he was doing on the cross. Leslie Newbigin, last century, and that wasn't too far away, the 20th century, was probably one of our great Christian thinkers and theologians, as well as having been a missionary, spending so many years in India. I've always found him as someone who has a way with words and can bring us to the heart of issues without perhaps using many expressions. And speaking on those words from the Bible that I have read, and Jesus' words, my God, why have you forsaken me? Leslie Newbigin made a comment in his preaching, which I've written down, as he describes what was going on in the darkness and in the cross that day, and what it might mean for us this year when we have particular darkness at the moment. He writes, Jesus goes down to the very depths so that there could be no depths of despair into which we ever could fall, in which the Son of God would not be there beside us. My God, why have you forsaken me? Not words denying trust, but words as Jesus embraced something which we could not. Words from Jesus bringing him into the depths so that God might not forsake us, even at this moment.